Hey y'all, welcome back to Mimsy's Garden. I know it's been a while. Last year I took a Sabbath rest for the garden and many other things. Um, Today is onion planting day. I went to the store. I did not do sets myself. I have done them from seed before, but I'm getting older. I turned 57 this year, so I'm more about being productive, but work smarter, not harder. So I thought I'd bring y'all along while I worked in the garden today. This morning, I didn't want y'all to watch me work. So I went and came out and weeded my onion bed for this year. Not last year because the garden rested, but the year before I did them in pots. And this year I have a specific bed that I'm going to be planting my onions in. So to prep that soil, I weeded it really good. And over the winter, I've been adding fertilizer. And that's why there were so many weeds in it. When I butcher chickens or things like that, I save that liquid gold and dilute it down and pour that into the bed. Sometimes there's feathers added for calcium and phosphorus. But I also put gypsum in there. Some blood meal, some bone meal, and then I topped it with Bacto, and I've been watering the beds off and on over the past year just to keep them from getting too hydrophobic. I think they are a little hydrophobic, but I think they're okay between what I did in the rain. So yesterday and the day before, we had extremely cold temperatures at night for us. I'm in southeast Mississippi, zone 7B, and 29 degrees for us. It's pretty frigid. So my soil is workable, and I want to plant some red onions and some yellow onions, and I have a few white onions, not many, just a few stragglers that were in the bottom of a bag. Yesterday I had gone to the feed store and got these for my neighbor and myself, and these were just a few little stragglers, and she has a lot more onions to plant than I do, so I just kept them. And if she wants them, if they're hers, I'll take them to her. But I'm pretty sure she's going to end up with extra onion sets and telling me, here, take these, plant these. I don't want them. So I don't think she'll mind this. I don't know how many it is. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Nine extra onions. I don't think she'll care. Anyway, so come with me and let's get planting. So this is my little onion bed. And as you can see, my garden is a wreck all the way across. Now I've cleaned out all the beds and fertilized and watered and added compost and stuff to each one of those. Now this one's a little shallow, but it's got my asparagus in it and it's already popping up, so I didn't want to mess with that too much. But the other beds, there's broccoli and different things planted. And so now it's basically a matter of cleaning out the ground areas. And that bed is rotted, so I'm going to be pulling that up. And I still need to weed this bed. It's got some garlic where I had dropped worms, however you say that. And so I'm going to weed around those. And I did drop some fertilizer in there throughout the winter. I've got a lot of work to do, but it'll get done. And over here, you'll see I've got cardboard in my compost pile, because over here I am going to lay landscaping fabric and use buckets and plant herbs in them for my herbal teas and remedies and things. So yes, I've got a lot of work to do. A whole year of neglect on this garden, poor baby. So what I'm going to do is, in sections, I'm just going to plant each little set. Let's get it where you can see it. Just barely down in there, just real gentle. And I'm gonna come about 4 inches apart. And I'm gonna do another one. And I'm just gonna keep doing that down the bed. And then that way they have enough room to really bulb up. I don't normally get super large onions like what I get when I buy from Azure. But I get a good enough size that maybe when I cook that meal, I don't have to put any extras in the refrigerator. And so that's good to me. I'm just gathering those white onions. We'll keep them in a little section by themselves maybe. So that one was a little bigger. Had to stick my finger down in there. But hopefully we'll get a good little onion harvest anyway. I use onions in every meal, so I imagine I'll still be ordering from Azure. Even with all these sets. Okay, so then, just so I know, I'm going to do red onions in the next section. Get that untangled. And I don't know if y'all can see her. My big baby is right behind me. Y'all remember Liberty? She doesn't like the camera. But her loves her mama. And her mama loves her. So, she's out here with me today. And I still have Cash, my garden cat. I don't know where he's at right at the moment. But that's okay too. I think I hear him in the woods. He may have heard me say his name. And I'm just going to keep planting until all the sets are planted. And then I'll show you how pretty it looks. Okay, now the onion bed is planted. And no, I didn't do perfectly straight rows. Doesn't matter. And look, there's Cash Kitty, the garden cat. But I've got the white onions, the red onions, and the yellow. And I still have a handful of sets left. What I'm gonna do is plant them sporadically around the garden. And if I have any extras, then I'm going to take them around to my front flower bed that used to be a food bed. I've actually got some hydrangeas planted and barberry, things like that. So trying to make it look a little better around here eventually. But I will plant these around, and I've got a lot of roses around front, so they're looking kind of pitiful right now. But hopefully by the time really spring hits, they'll be up and going. Well, Liberty, are you giving up on the job? Or just sunning? Not paying Mama any attention, are you? Oh, there goes Gus. One of the Dachshunds barked. I've already started a lot of cooler type seeds, direct sown for things like chard, sorrel, mustards, collards, kale, those kind of things. And I just did that this week. So I'm actually going to go back and check my notes and make sure where I can put these onions. I don't want to interfere with broccoli or cabbage or things like that if it shouldn't be companion planted close by. So I'll do a double check on that. But I did want to talk to you about the onion sets and onions in general. The reason that I put the blood meal and the liquid red gold in those gardens, in that particular bed especially, quite heavily back in the winter and the early fall. Listen to me, I am so backwards. Back in the fall, in the early and late winter, was because onions are very heavy feeders. And I didn't want to be fertilizing every time I turned around. I like to feed my soil on the top end and then see how they do. You know, when they start getting ready before they bulb. So we'll hit them again with a really good nitrogen fertilizer. Maybe something that's even a little quicker than blood meal. Not sure yet. We're just going to wait and see. There's lots of good fertilizers out there. Epsoma has a lot of good organic fertilizers. So we'll look and see. I am normally as organic as possible, but if I feel like I need a crop or I'm going to lose a crop, I can hit it with some triple 13 or something like that. My next step with the onions, though, will be I've got an older chicken coop that's been vacant, and it's got a good bit of straw in there, and I'm going to go gather that out and mulch around those onions in the next week or so. This evening, when poor boy gets home, I'm going to have him reconnect my water system to the house. We had to unhook it because of the freezing temperatures, and I don't know if it's a gasket leak or something in my little splitter, but it drips a little bit, and we do not want a hot water bill, so he disconnected all that, and I'll get him to fix it back up, maybe replace a gasket, whatever needs to be done. He's not into the gardening or the homesteading things, but he will help me when I ask, so that's a good thing. I guess that is basically what I wanted to talk about, was how to plant your onions, how to pre-feed your soil, even when you're not planting in it. It needs attention, so consider that. And that is one way. This tiny little garden, you know, I used to have a real big garden, and it was too much for me to manage. And then, so we repurposed the sheet metal that was off someone's chicken house, and then supported it up and filled it with limbs and short logs and cardboard and all kinds of things. And then I started filling it with topsoil, and I just been feeding it all along. And so there's all kinds of little critters in there, worms and things, spiders, lots of little spiders. So that's a good thing, and hopefully when it warms up, we'll see little froggies in there, other things that let you know that the soil is in good condition. And that's one thing that I do when I'm gardening. I'm looking for the critters. I want to see what's thriving. There are signs of good soil, and then you get the bad critters, the aphids and things, and that is a sign that your soil needs some help. Now, I know that some of that is unavoidable as far as like late summer with tomatoes and things like that, but if your soil is fed well, you have less insect pressure, and that's science. And so that's how that is. And there was something else. I'll have to think about it for just a minute. I told y'all I'm getting older and I get distracted really easy. So, hold on just for a moment. There it is. Planting by the moon. A lot of people don't believe in that, but a lot of old southern gardeners will tell you that the moon cycles matter. So I'm not into any weird hokey pokey stuff. I like to follow the moon cycles, the lunar cycles. Seems like this garden produces a whole lot when I do. And that's something we were talking about. We recycled. I downgraded the garden to a small size that's real easily managed for me. And it seems to produce way more food than even my big garden did. I can have 120 tomato plants and get a less of a harvest than if I have 6, 12, and just super duper really pay attention to it. So that's something I would say is important to know. If you're wanting to learn how to home garden, start small. Learn how to really care for the plants, and you'll get some production, even if it's just one pot. So back to the moon cycles. Today was a good root day, and it is the February 24th. We had the crescent moon last night, so we're pulling down into the nutrients and into the soil. So onion sets today. And that's why I chose to do that one today, and not when I was sowing the other seeds. Those other lighter seeds like the chard and greens of all sorts, spinach, bok choy, those kind of things. I did those on a day that was meant for leaf vegetables. So, and that was maybe 2 or 3 days ago, maybe. Can't remember. My short-term memory is a little goofy. So I feel like I've covered a good bit of information in my rattling and getting sidetracked, you know, chasing squirrels or watching dogs chase squirrels. I hope you learned something. I hope you get out there and get your hands dirty. Nothing like it. Get the vitamin D. It is so good to be back out in the sun and be in the garden. It was very hard last year for me to stay out of here and let it rest, but it really needed it because year before last it produced so heavily. I had 80 pounds of tomatoes, 60 pounds of cucumbers. I don't even know how many pounds of peppers. I finally just got tired and pulled the plants. So, and I do have seeds started inside the house. My greenhouse is still a wreck. I got a lot of work to do. But I'll get there and get it all back in order. And if it gets too much, I'll save a little extra cash and hire some kid to come help me. Yeah, I'm trying to work smarter, not harder. And if that involves paying somebody to help me do it, I'm all game. Okay, y'all be blessed. Get your hands dirty.